Today we're going to be talking about the fall of Rome. And I thought that in this lecture it would be fun to put the names of all of the characters that I'm going to need you to know and all the groups that I'm going to need you to know in the very beginning of the lecture. That way you can copy them down, and then in a couple slides from now when I talk about them, you can just feel it, oh, this is this person. So the beginning of the instability in Rome starts off with the stuff that we discussed in document A today, right? Remember that 50-year period where there's a bunch of generals, a bunch of political leaders who die, who assassinate one another? Well, that all started with the emperor who, as you can see in the quote right there below us, right? You see it down there? The quote that said, the one emperor, pay the army, who cares about everybody else? That's not very nice. And the political climate that created was one in which the army decided who was going to be in charge, and there was all those assassinations. But you learned about that in document A. Let's look at some other things that caused the downfall as well. At the same time, guys, that you had this political instability, you also had invasions by foreigners. The Germanic tribes, the people up to the north and the east, they saw that Rome was weak, and what did they do? When they saw weakness, they attacked. So they started attacking from all sides, and then at the same time as that, you had lots of plagues. Terrible diseases are devastating the country, and invaders are coming in, and the leaders aren't helping anything. The leaders are just going insane and trying to kill each other, and it really created a terrible environment. What do you guys think about that?
I think it did. I get what you said.
Right, I agree. All right, let's see what else they did. So all these problems meant that Rome needed soldiers, but Rome wasn't very good at developing soldiers at this point. So what do? Well, those Germanic tribes that are invading, they seem pretty tough. So what they did is they hired a bunch of them to be mercenaries to be their soldiers. Problem is now you've got Rome patrolled by soldiers who aren't from Rome, who don't share their traditions, who don't share their values, who don't necessarily even really like them. It would be as if you replaced the police and our soldiers with hired mercenaries from wherever. It didn't end up being a great recipe for success. That's not what you guys would do, right? If you were the emperors? No. You guys wouldn't be so foolish. Absolutely not. Yeah. All right, let's take our lesson. What else they did? Now, guys, not all of these emperors were total losers. Some of them did have a couple good ideas. One of them is this guy over there. Or is he over there? I don't know. He's one of those two guys. That was Diocletian. He was a very famous Roman emperor, and his big idea was that, you know what, the Roman Empire has gotten too big. We're going to divide it. So he actually divided up the Roman Empire into 4 parts, and he took over one of them, and then he had 3 different emperors rule the other ones. He figured this will solve it. As if the empires are smaller and more manageable, we'll have great success. All right. Another one of these emperors who's quite famous is the guy you might remember from the last lecture, Constantine. All right, so not only is he the first Christian emperor, and not only does he declare tolerance for Christianity, but he also creates a new capital city, Constantinople. A little bit of an arrogant guy, as you can see. Names the city after himself, but he really marks the shift of Roman power from the west to the east, because Constantinople is in the Eastern Roman Empire when after Diocletian divided it, and Constantinople is going to be, from now on, the bigger center of power, the richer city than Rome over there in Italy. All right. Despite the best efforts of Diocletian and Constantine, Rome doesn't last. All of those problems I discussed in the beginning end up being huge and terrible, and it actually ends with the barbarian tribes, the ones you'll remember from the beginning of the lecture. That would be the Vandals, the Visigoths, the Huns. They sack Rome. Sack means that they take the city by force, they rob it blind, they steal things from it. You can see the picture down there of this very famous event. Rome gets so weak they can't even defend their capital from these, dirty, bearded, axe-wielding barbarians. It's a very sort of sad day for civilization, and it marks the beginning of the end for Rome. Rome limps along for a little bit longer, but not very much longer, until we actually reach the last Roman emperor, this guy by the name of Romulus Augustulus. You see him in this picture over here, kneeling. That is one of the Germanic invaders comes down, defeats them again, it happened a lot, And he doesn't just take a bribe from him like they've been doing. He says, you know what, forget you, you're not the Roman emperor anymore, I'm the king of Italy now, and Romulus Augustulus is the last Roman emperor in the whole history of the empire. All right. So in a nutshell, over here, these are the possible reasons Rome fell. Now, it was probably a combination of these, and I've gone over a bunch of them already, but I do want to highlight a couple that I don't think I've talked about. One of them over there, the lead poisoning. The Romans used lead pipes to channel their water, and there is a thought now that the lead poisoning made the people in Rome kind of crazy. They partied too much, you get that. Then the Christianity one, that's an interesting theory that's been advocated, which is that Christianity became very popular in Rome, and therefore the Romans got more into things like nonviolence, peace, and that is one of the reasons for their decline, because they weren't tough and evil anymore, because now they were too nice, that the religion actually made them too nice. It's a controversial theory, but it is a big one. And last but not least, the one I didn't talk about, the over-reliance on slavery. Ray, that's right, that's the last one that I didn't say?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. The thought that the Romans depended too much on their slaves, that it sapped their work ethic, and they just got too lazy to rule anymore. Those are the possible reasons Rome fell. There's a big debate about all this, but I think you sort of have a snapshot of it now. I want to thank Block 4 for helping me with this video.